Yes, welcome back, everyone. Yes, how nice. How nice. So, as is our habit, we will remember our motivation and how fortunate we are to actually be here together. And it's useful if we surround ourselves by all sentient beings as we begin a meditation, and thinking that we are actually actively encouraging them on the path to enlightenment. So as we think, may I and all sentient beings have happiness and all of its causes. May we be completely free of suffering and all of its causes. May we never be separated from the happiness that is without suffering. And may we abide in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and hatred. I will help us to have these. Please, Guru Buddha, bless me to be able to do so. And so we imagine here, on our left sits our mother. On our right, our Father. Behind us, our close relatives, family, and friends, and colleagues. It's lovely to actually picture them, our grandparents and our children, our aunts and uncles and cousins, our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, the people we work with, all of our close friends and acquaintances. Get a picture of them sitting here with us. And in front of us, the troublemakers in our life. Those, as Choden Rinpoche said, those that give you a headache. So we can bring them. Especially all the heads of government, the people in power around the world, that they might practice and receive blessings and soften their hearts. And then beyond this group, we see the hell beings with their angry, hate-filled minds manifesting here as human beings, and the hungry ghosts with their poverty mentality, all the animals with fear and stupidity, just not able to know how to get out of this mess. And the jealous gods, suffering from extreme jealousy, even though they live in very opulent circumstances. And the gods who are totally self-absorbed. Just fill all of space with sentient beings. And think that as you drop into your meditation, you guide them into theirs. Turning toward the sensation of the breath in the body. And first allowing the body to completely relax. in a posture of dignity. And find that place where the breath manifests most distinctly. And place the mind right there. And we'll sit for 10 minutes, remaining on the breath, while other experiences and feelings, thoughts, remain in the periphery. And allow yourself to be grateful for this moment where there is nothing to do or undo, where there is nothing to force and nothing to want, and there's nothing missing. Just momentary present awareness of the sensation of the breath as the body breathes without force or impedance. With mindfulness, we keep awareness steady on the object the sensation of the breath. And with introspection, without disturbing the mindfulness, we check that our posture has not collapsed, or we have not been kidnapped by a thought or a feeling. And when the mind is relatively stable, we release our focus on the breath and turn inward to awareness and allow that awareness to expand beyond the body to fill the room, to go beyond the room in all directions, in the front and the back, the sides, in the ordinal directions, above and below, without directing anywhere. Get a sense of spaciousness as far as imagination will allow into the infinitude. And then ask yourself, is there a periphery? Then gradually condensing it back. Slowly the energy, this vast sphere, smaller, the size of the building, the size of the room, the size of the body, all the way into the heart center until it becomes imperceivable. And you awaken into this pure, natural, luminous awareness that is simply everywhere, with no periphery and no center. Simply rest there, letting awareness rest in its natural place, what feels natural, without expanding or contracting. And then gradually we become aware of our body. And the room. And we open our eyes. You might take note of anything that arose for you in this meditation, any insights. When you're in retreat, it's useful to say, oh, yes, I really did have this experience or that experience. I saw seemed like that. It's useful to record it. So I speak about retreat. So I have some notes. Yes. So what is this framework of the retreat? How do we begin? I think it's very useful you tell someone. You make a determination. You make a determination at such and such a time. I'm going to engage in a one-day retreat, which is actually a little bit more than one day, which I'll describe. So you look at your calendar. I remember hearing a Christian minister talking about how Sundays don't seem to be holy anymore. The Sabbath, we're not upholding the idea of the Sabbath. And when I was a child, on Sundays, nothing was open. You could get gasoline and you could get a prescription, but that was about all. Although everybody shopped on Saturday or before, but you didn't plan on going to the mall because there was nothing open. And he said, we need to really get that tradition back on Sundays and make it a holy day and have time for yourself and your friends and your family to relax on this day. He said, put an X in your calendar. Go through, put an X in your calendar. And then when someone calls and says, hey, we're having a gathering, we're having a barbecue next Sunday. Oh, let me check my calendar. Oh, no, sorry. I have a date with my ex. I thought that was clever. He was a relatively young preacher. Anyway, it is a matter of making a determination and sticking to it. You see a time when it's going to work for you, and you put an X in your calendar. I advise people to do Friday night to Sunday after you have your morning session. So you plan ahead, right? You plan ahead and you prepare the environment. So you make your room, wherever your meditation space is, you make sure it's tidy and you make beautiful things there that make you want to go and look at them. You have a nice altar, could be very small, just a small table that has a photograph of the Buddha, your teacher, a rechargeable candle, and a flower. Then you have some place to put your incense and purify the place with your incense. You make this determination. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to I'm going to be meditating and I'm just going to purify the place. It's going to be beautiful. And you take your incense and wander around making offerings to whatever holy objects happen to be in that room. And really have a sense of a beautiful place that you want to go. It's nice to do that. Very simple, it doesn't have to be elaborate. And then the evening before, you have already done your grocery shopping because you've prepared to have a lovely meal Friday night or whatever night it is. It doesn't have to be a weekend. You start the night before. If you're going to do a Wednesday, then start Tuesday night with a lovely meal. And I actually I'll give you this schedule and you can think about whether or not this works for you. So the evening before your day long, power off your internet devices. Make a determination. You know what? Doesn't matter what the news is. We are so addicted to our devices. And if they're on, then there will be a hum. Doesn't matter whether they're not making any noise. The hum is the thread because you are attached by some thread to this device. And it's useful if you just put them in a drawer. You just don't even have to look at them because you've made a determination that you're retreating from worldly activities and you're going to focus on your Dharma practice for the day, for a whole day. And you're going to start that night. So that's quite useful. So you have a beautiful meal, and then you have your first session the night before, and do a Vajrasattva practice. I think you all know Vajrasattva. If you don't have a copy of Vajrasattva, FPMT store will have, I believe, all of the most common practices are available to participate in that. So whatever I mention, I'm hopeful that it's there. And if you don't have it and you can't find it, then you email me, and I'll make sure that you have what you need. So now you're going to do this beautiful motivation as you sit on your cushion Friday evening. I'm saying Friday night, okay? But it's just the day before. And you start there with this beautiful motivation, really thinking about your good fortune and gratitude and what is your aspiration to live in a world filled with joy, where everyone you meet inspires you with their generosity and love. Our goal is to live in such a world and where we don't find it to help create it. So we make that strong determination to do it for all sentient beings there's so much suffering. And when we say that, may I and all sentient beings, then we see them come, in the millions. They're coming to your room and they're sitting with you. And they're so grateful that you're here and that you're leading them in this practice. So that when you take refuge and you think of your Lama, then your Lama comes as Vajrasattva. And we make it real. Make it real because you can think about your teachers and how they smiled at you, words they said to you, how they laughed, how much that you appreciated them. And you just see them morph into Vajrasattva. And you confess. Think about the things that were not helpful that you did, have done, continue to do, and don't want to continue in the future. The habits of mind that you have. Think about them. Say, oh, I'd like to burn up all the seeds that obscure liberation and enlightenment. The obscurations to liberation are karma and mental afflictions. The obscurations to enlightenment are those still threads holding self and phenomena as inherently existent or self-existent or abiding self-sufficiently, some essence. So we want to be completely free of that. And really from the heart, just look at your Lama Vajrasattva and say, please, purify me of this. And then you engage in that practice. And when you finish that practice and Vajrasattva dissolves into you, then just think, wow, in this very moment, I am completely purified. And as Lama Vipa Rinpoche said many, many times, believe in that. And then sit with that. In that awareness. Holding that in your heart and be glad. And rejoice that you've done the practice and make a strong determination to use your time mindfully, wisely, to benefit yourself and all others. And then as you finish your session, you go to bed early, get a good night's sleep, and get up early to start your day. And when you wake up and put your feet on the bed, on the floor, smile. And just think, wow, okay, how wonderful it is that I have this day to make my life truly meaningful. I vow to live mindfully and to think of all beings with love and compassion. And then I suggest doing 35 Buddhas. And if you can't do physical prostrations, that's okay. You can say the practice and with your hands together. And if you do that practice, eventually you will memorize that practice. And eventually you will be able to see Shakyamuni Buddha with thousand-armed Chenrezig at his heart, and at his heart the letter Hri with rays of light radiating, and the 5 rows of the Dhyani Buddhas and the 7 medicine Buddhas. You will be able to conjure that in your mind's eye, in your imagination, and you will be able to do that practice, remembering what each one of those Dhyani Buddhas purified. So these are things that we study to be able to know, to be able to say, oh, Akshobhya Buddha, yes, all my hatred, purifying all my hatred. And like that, when you do that practice, and I just realized as I look at this in the first session, in the very first session, which is done before dawn, you might take the 8 Mahayana precepts. So that practice is also available on the website of the FPMT. But if you don't have it, we can get it to you. So this isn't quite as complete because I didn't put in there the 35 Buddhas. You can put it in. Venerable Namjang, who is doing retreat at Vajrapani right now, I think he finishes pretty soon, at the end of this month. He was doing a retreat. And his monastery, Sarah J., when he was there, he and some other monks got into a little exercise club of running in the morning. They would run for exercise. And the abbot actually said, maybe not a good idea, because, you know, the people in the village or the people around, the lay people, are not enamored with that. Those weren't his words, but that was the gist of it. He says, do prostrations. Yeah. So I can remember Venerable Yarpel telling me that he has a hard time not seeing it as exercise, but rather as a purification practice. It's not my exercise practice, it's my purification practice. It is a good exercise to do. It doesn't take very long. You can actually, until you actually have it memorized, you can record it yourself on your handy dandy friend and then play it, and you'll eventually learn it. The more we do these practices, the more meaning they have, the more we begin to see. It's not just looking and seeing these blue and white and yellow and red and blue and green Buddhas in rows sitting there, but it's really, you get to know what it is. And it's energizing the wisdom energy that we already have in our own body. We already have that. We just need activated. We activate the five wisdoms. So that's all part of the practice. So then, if we take the Mahayana precepts, then we wouldn't be eating breakfast. But I suggest after you've done your prostrations, you take the precepts, you do your prostrations, and then engage in the first Guru Yoga meditation. So I think we will have time to actually do that meditation before we leave today. So I can lead you through that. It doesn't have to take a very, very long time, but you can make it take as long as you want by pausing and really thinking about what it is that you are saying and have said, and going slowly through the process. And then have breakfast if you're not taking precepts. Some people, it's okay, you know, anyway, you do as you wish. And then after breakfast, you do some Lamrim study. In other words, you have your book, and you could have your book, and when you make your first cup of tea, you could have your Lamrim book and do some study there then. And that's the early breakfast. Then you have breakfast, and after your first session, you have breakfast. So by that time, it's, 8 or 9 o'clock after breakfast. And then you do your second session, which would simply be doing breathing meditation, going through the process of always setting your motivation and bringing all the sentient beings and doing a meditation on Lamrim, what you have studied that morning, that particular aspect of the Lamrim. Really try to, without the pieces of paper in front of you, to think about what you're trying to internalize. And then do the Guru Yoga meditation. And within that Guru Yoga meditation, as the Lama dissolves, well, you will do it in a way that you will actually have meditation within it. And then there's the lunch break. and you have a nice lunch. If you've taken precepts, you just have a super, a nice lunch, whether you have or haven't. This is your meal for the day. And you eat a nice meal and enjoy offering it to your bodhisattva self. If you're a tantrika, you're offering it to yourself as the yidam. And then after lunch, you have a break, you exercise, do yoga, go for a walk, study more lamrim. And your third session is a duplicate of the second session. Simply getting into the session with breathing meditation, this meditation on the lamrim, and then guru yoga. So basically what the meditation on the lamrim is doing is giving you your motivation. It's saying, wow, I have this great refuge now. How fortunate I am. And this precious life. And I'm going to lose it. So I really must practice for the welfare of all beings. So like that, thinking, using it. And if you can explain it to your 13-year-old neighbor while you're doing it, then you got the idea. It's really trying to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. I once had a friend who said, okay, what does that mean? So I told him what I thought it meant. And he said, no, I want you to tell me so I can tell my 12-year-old daughter what that is and why you're doing that. So it's really convincing yourself. This is how we get our mind trained. And then the evening session, we do begin with breath meditation and do a Vajrasattva. Do the Vajrasattva practice. Purifying any mistakes that we did during the day and make a beautiful dedication. And there is a booklet in the materials for this class in Thupten Norbu Ling's website that has 2 Lamrim prayers, and it has Shantideva's dedication prayer, which is just a really beautiful prayer. Covers all the bases to dedicate all things. So you have access to that if you want to download that. And then go to bed. And when you rise in the morning, smile. And then just think how wonderful that you have really done this job, that you have really made your life meaningful. And go to your cushion again and do a final session. So I'll give you this. First, I'm going to go over it and make sure that I didn't make any mistakes, because, these are the kinds of things I do at the last minute when I'm thinking, wait, how am I going to inspire myself? What do I do? Okay. So anyway, I'll go over it, and I may, brilliant, venerable, I think 3 times I have given him different documents, which he has uploaded for me. So, and be sure at the very end of your morning session to rejoice big time. Dedicated and rejoice. Wow, that was fantastic. That was so good that I did that. I'm really happy. I want to do that again. And then just start thinking about the future, when you're going to do that again. Maybe once a quarter you do that. Have a one day. Take that. Make your day off worthwhile. Really worthwhile. Just takes pre-planning and the willingness to let go. The willingness to let go. Because we are really tethered We're more tethered now than at any other time in my life that I have seen. And then once you've done this a few times, you may think, well, I think I might do, maybe 2 or 3 full days, and begin to work your way up to doing a week. I never suggest that people start with a month. I think we need to become familiar with what it means to unplug. So I wonder, do you have any questions about that? Have any of you done the day-long solitary retreat on your own? No? No? Yeah. How's it feel to think about doing it? You're going. What do you think, David? Uh-huh.
Yeah, I did a 2-day retreat a couple of years ago. And, I just looked at all my resources and kind of put together a schedule and so it was a half day, one day, and then another half day. That's actually how I did it.
Mhm.
And it turned out pretty good. It felt like I did something good.
Mhm. 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 Did you find that it helped you kind of solidify the practice, help your daily practice?
Um, I think I noticed it for a while.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes, yes. It's one of those things that we have to reinfuse, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. I
Yes.
mean, when I was done, I felt the way that I expected to feel, kind of relaxed and separated from the rest of the world. And,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. We so need that kind of relief from the busyness of our lives, and to really take a look at what's important, how many things we engage in our life that we could very easily leave behind. I think one of the greatest benefit of doing longer retreat, and doing it in silence, is that we begin to see how much we say that doesn't need to be said. Because I was doing the retreat with my partner, he was in the main house and I was in the little retreat place. And we came together for Sunday brunch. And we were allowed to talk at Sunday brunch, but only about our Dharma practice, to talk to one another about what we were doing. And we did projects together because we had afternoons off, and we would go to the garden, but we didn't talk. So if you wanted to communicate, then you had to write a note. Over time, that gets really boring. So you just think, what do I, so then you point. And you say less and less. And so it was very useful to see how many times you might just say something, you're having some visual you're seeing, that a beautiful this or that, and you want to say, oh, look at that. But maybe they were involved in some kind of solitary thing on their own, and now you've pulled them out of that reverie because you wanted to share your beauty. So even positive things like that step on other people's airwaves. So it's looking at that to see maybe it doesn't have to be said, whatever it is that we wanted to say or thought to say. And there's less and less because there's no outside input. Then there's less and less to talk about. You're only out in the woods. You know, maybe did you see the fox? Did the raccoons come to your house? Yes, like that. So it is, we begin to notice these things that, and then the thought to speak dissipates because you're not speaking. And what seemed to be so important to talk about suddenly is forgotten. Yes, it's very, very interesting. Any of the rest of you on Zoom land have an experience of doing retreat on your own for a day or so? No? Okay. Do you think you will? Yes, I see a thumb up. I see a head shaking. Yes. Yes. Barbara, you have something to say, or that was yes, I will.
No, I was just going to share that I did exactly what you recommended not to do. And that was I did a month-long retreat.
Uh-huh.
I got worked. I got worked really, really hard. And it was really good.
Okay.
It was,
Good.
there were a couple of days, and I don't even know when it was during the course of the month, where I was so angry. And I mean, a storm came over me. And
Mm.
I was pacing and I was just, why am I doing this? This is the most, I'm just filling my every minute of every hour of every day just doing this. And I realized that's life. How, yes, I am filling every minute of every hour of every day doing this. And it was a realization that was incredible because we're filling our minutes and hours and days with something. And it was amazing for me.
Great. Good.
And it was hard. Oh my God, it was hard.
Yes. Yes.
And I know
Yes.
that in planning it, my teacher helped me plan it. And I kind of did a rough draft, and I had many teachings in it.
Mhm.
And she took out 3/4 of the teachings because that was reliant on other things. That was hearing people talk. It was
Mhm.
and I was grateful.
Yes.
And she was right. It was
Yes.
taking me away.
Yes. Yes. We have this desire for variety.
Mm.
We get very bored with doing the same thing over and over and over again. Yes, it can happen that way. Yes, I do understand. And it is an experience. It is an experience to see what comes up in the mind and how we deal with it. If we start gentle and begin to get a taste of what it means to do, then maybe it's more gentle to do longer, to grow into longer. But many people decide, okay, I'm going to do this approximation retreat of this deity, and it's going to take me 6 weeks. I'm going to do it. Okay. So we see what happens. We see what happens. It is useful to have a teacher to help you get into a longer retreat. Someone who you can rely on if you need. If you're in a longer retreat, to have a teacher you can write to and someone that you trust. And the most important thing, I'm telling you, from my perspective, is relax. For heaven's sakes, don't push. Because then when you push, you get your winds out of order. you get lung, they call it lung. And you can actually really harm yourself if you push. You can really harm yourself. I know people who have harmed themselves. Yeah, people who are type A, really going to get her done. So it's a mistake. It's a mistake. People in the West are different than the Tibetans in the plateaus. We are doers. We're sentient doers. And they had a much more herd the yaks and, be farmers. I was thinking about my grandfather yesterday, who had a dairy farm, small herd, 365 days of year. He milked those cows twice a day. He never was more than 50 miles away from his farm until I think when he was in his 50s. Yes, I think it was. And he had someone who could come and milk them. And they raised their own food and they lived there. They lived their life there. And in the evenings, they had something that came from the church. I forget what it was called, the daily prayers. So there would be some scripture that they would study as they went to bed. They went to bed early and got up before dawn. Every day, a relatively simple life. That's not our life. We're running from one thing to the next. So we have to make a decision when something comes up. Oh, I got to run for this to the store. Well, if you live 3 miles up a dirt road and 20 minutes to the pavement, then you're not going to run back in after that thing that you thought you had to have. So you begin to see, I can do something different than that thing that I thought I needed to have. We should always be looking. What's arising in my mind, and is it real? Do I need it, or do I just want it? These are questions to ask ourselves. Where am I spending my mind moments? So, we can establish a retreat habit and slowly grow our ability to be present, to be mindful, and to cultivate the things in our life that will be helpful and to eliminate what will be unhelpful. The word that we translate as Buddha, Sangye, literally means purified and perfected. So purified of all the afflictions and obscurations and all the 6 perfections, perfected, all the noble qualities of awakening, perfected. I remember reading Lady Naguma's statement that it's so obvious we don't see it, so simple we don't believe it, so easy we don't trust it. We do tend to complicate as much as possible instead of simplify. So maybe what we will do is this practice, and I do have it on my screen, which I could, I think, share. Is that right? So this is the meditation practice booklet that you can download from the materials page on the TNL website. And it has this Shakyamuni Buddha Guru Yoga practice. It's not a long practice. And then it has Master Shantideva's prayer. which is a beautiful dedication prayer. It has a description of the 7-point meditation posture. It's kind of small there, isn't it? Anyway, you don't need to read it. I'm just doing an overview. It has some helpful steps in how to practice. It has 2 Lamrim prayers. This one is the Complete Path by the 7th Dalai Lama. You know, maybe you memorize one of these while you're in retreat. Maybe not the first time. And Lama Tsongkhapa's 3 principal aspects of the path. And then also, these are the 9 stages of meditation, which comes from Alan Wallace's Attention Revolution, I believe. So you can see it's, and then also Master Kamala Shila's. So those are the stages, the 9 stages of calm abiding. And then this is Trijang Rinpoche's woodblock print of the stages, with an explanation of all of it, you know, the monk here and the black elephant and the black monkey and how they change. So what everything that is represented. So that's the practice booklet that's available to you if you like. So I think we will. Whoops. Okay. I thought it would be good to do this practice with you. So you can imagine that you're sitting in your own little gompa. You've made your 3 prostrations and you've lit your candle and you've purified with some incense. And you're seated on your cushion. And you think, just as I long for happiness and freedom from suffering, so too does every single living being. Therefore, in order to accomplish not just my own aims, but those of all others, as part of my quest for perfect enlightenment, the perfect happiness of enlightenment, and freedom from suffering of the awakened mind, that I might be able to lead all beings there, I'm going to engage in this practice. And when I mentioned all beings, they come. So I think that I'm leading the practice and all these sentient beings are surrounding me. And I can especially think of people who are unwell at this time. I can think about all the places around the world where there's so much suffering. And really wishing to direct this positive energy to heal. And so we imagine before us our Lama smiling and wishing to be inspired. We are inspired, and he smiles or she smiles. And then actually transforms before our eyes into Guru Shakyamuni Buddha. Golden body on a beautiful throne, adorned with heavenly silks, and smiling lovingly at us. And we turn to them for refuge. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha by my virtuous actions of giving and so on. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By my virtuous actions of giving and so on, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By my virtuous actions of giving and so on, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. May all beings have equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings find good rebirths and the bliss of liberation. And then we offer the 7 limbs. I prostrate with body, speech, and mind. I make each and every offering. I confess my mistaken karma and rejoice in every virtuous deed. Please, Buddha, stay until samsara ends. Teach Dharma to every sentient being. I dedicate to great enlightenment. Now we look into the Guru's face and think, as we request blessings, we want to achieve all of these aspects of the path. May I be inspired by Guru devotion, uplifted by the preciousness of this human life, shed the fetters of attachment and aversion through a knowledge of impermanence, be protected by refuge, guided by a knowledge of actions and their results, aim for liberation through renunciation. May I be motivated by bodhicitta, opened by giving, disciplined by ethical behavior, strengthened by patience, enthused by joyous effort, stabilized by concentration, and freed by wisdom. The wisdom that realizes the final nature, how things actually exist. And then we offer everything in the universe in the form of a mandala. Oh, this ground scented with perfume and covered with flowers, adorned by Mount Meru, 4 worlds, sun and moon, I imagine as a Buddha land, and then offer it. May all beings enjoy this pure land. I send this jeweled mandala to you, my precious Guru. Now we imagine that Guru Shakyamuni Buddha is totally delighted with us, and as we recite the mantra, light rays and nectars radiate from his heart and enter our heart and the heart of all the beings who surround us, removing obstacles, granting realizations on the path to enlightenment, and filling us with warm, loving wisdom energy. And we know we're loved. Taya ta om muni muni Mahamunai Soham. Tayata Om Muni Muni Mahamunai Soham. Tayata Om Muni Muni Mahamunai Soham. Tayata Om Muni Muni Mahamunai Soha. 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 And now we receive the Guru's blessing. O magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and stay with me always until I attain enlightenment. And now we imagine that our Guru, Shakyamuni Buddha, melts into a small sphere of warm light and comes to the crown of each and every being and descends to our hearts and blessing our mind, and all the sentient beings fly off to the Pure Land. And this warm light at our heart, this is in the nature of love. As we inhale, we experience that light being energized. And as we exhale, it expands. Inhaling, energized. Exhaling, expanding. Until our whole body is vibrating with really the delightful feeling of love. And I know that I am loved. And I believe that it is my nature to love. So as I continue to energize, the light expands until it is uncontainable. And it begins to pass through all of our pores. And it goes out into every being that it touches, experiences this love, receives it in their heart with a sense of well-being, ease of mind, and we allow it to expand wherever the mind's eye goes, to touch the suffering of the world and bring caring, transformation, and love. Let it go around the world. Let it go into all the seats of government. Let those in power receive this love to govern with enlightened politics. Create that world through the power of love. And then gradually, the light begins to contract back. And as it does so, everything in its wake is dissolved into bliss and emptiness, until it is now just the size of the room. And then the size of my body. And a small sphere at my heart. And I penetrate that light with my mind and watch as it gets smaller and smaller until it becomes imperceivable. And I awaken into this vast, spacious, luminous, clear mind. Whose nature is love. Rest there. This vast, luminous mind. Rest in that for 10 minutes. Just thinking, nothing to do. Nothing to undo. Nothing to force, nothing to want. And nothing missing. How wonderful. Momentary present awareness of this empty, spacious mind. Clear and aware. Body relaxed. Mind alert. Just this. From time to time, checking. Am I alert? Has my posture collapsed? Reaffirming momentary present awareness. Move the body. Slowly open the eyes and come back. As we do different practices in this tradition, we begin to see the common thread through all of them. So it's useful to look, see, start with refuge and bodhicitta, making offerings and making requests, receiving the requests and the blessings over and over and over again. There's some kind of alchemical transformation that happens over time. The heart's softer. We can see the positive qualities, some, little bit of increase, some little bit of decrease in the mental afflictions. So I think maybe before we actually do the final dedication, let's find this. I think you all know the three principal aspects of the path, but maybe not this one. Is it possible to read that? Not really. Can't see it. Oh, it's getting smaller. About that. If I move it around. Yeah, I can move it around. Can you read that? This is the seventh Dalai Lama's complete path. He said, whatever you want for yourself and others with a human form is easily attained. Disengage yourself from meaningless efforts. Strive to accomplish the highest goals. Because all things composite are impermanent, life changes and never abides. That change is the basis of suffering, for the samsaric mind fills with frustration on watching its creations continually fade. The higher you climb in samsara, the higher the cliff on which you perch. The more things you own, the tighter you are bound. The dearer you hold someone, the greater the chance they will hurt you. The faster you subdue enemies, the faster their numbers increase. Therefore, no worldly possession is worth the effort of gaining. Turn your back on that which only handicaps. An unburdened mind is joy supreme. The pinnacle of aims is to follow this path, body, speech, and mind, kept stainless with pure self-discipline. Mind held in samadhi, blissful and clear, and wisdom seeing all realities of every situation. The mother beings, wandering in the six realms, to me, their child, are pieces of my heart. For in many times have they soothed my troubles, and in infinite ways have they brought me joy. These infinite beings, so kind, are covered by the fog of ignorance, constantly lashed by whips of delusions. They have no chance to lay down the burden of misery from their minds. Therefore, whenever you meet anyone, greet them with eyes smiling with love. Why mention that you should not even consider holding evil intentions or deceptive thoughts? The way people and things seem to be, other than projected labels, is a distortion created by deluded mind. If we look at the root of things, emptiness is clearly understood. And in the vast space of the perception of emptiness, mental grasping for the ultimate subsides. Then one looks into the face of the world, everything is seen without essence. Understanding interdependence, we understand emptiness. Understanding emptiness, we understand interdependence. This is the view which is the middle, and which is beyond the terrifying cliffs of eternalism, nihilism, neither or both. So that contains both the first part of renunciation, the middle part of bodhicitta, and the last part of emptiness, the three principal aspects of the path. So maybe we'll chant Master Shantideva's prayer, thinking about all the goodness that we did throughout this day, wishing for the welfare of all beings, seeking blessings, purifying the mind, so we can think. May all beings everywhere, plagued by suffering of body and mind, find an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms, the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the forlorn find hope, may the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, there too may I remain to dispel the misery of the world. We can dedicate. By merit of this virtue, may I become Buddha and lead all beings, everyone, into that enlightened state. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow, and may that born not decline, but increase more and more. And the long lives of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and even though Lama Zopa Rinpoche has taken a rebirth, we still make this prayer to be able to see him in our time. In the snowy mountain paradise, you're the source of good and happiness. Powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig, please remain until samsara ends. Great upholder of the moral way, the bountiful bearer of all good, sustaining and spreading Buddha's word, expounding magnificent prayers. Kyabje Zopa, the great Rinpoche, protecting disciples. Come back to us soon. Be here soon. Before us soon. Yes, good. So I think, good job. Uh, okay. Yes, there we are. So we've got maybe 5 minutes until we really do leave to allow the next group to come in. If anybody has a question or a comment, then we can. Yes, Barbara, please.
Thank you, Elaine. On the 3 principal aspects of the path reading that you did,
Uh-huh.
if I understood one of the lines right, it said something about subduing your enemies and then them increasing. That was confusing to me. Could
It's
you?
confusing. It is confusing. And the one before it, that the dearer you hold someone, the greater the chance they'll hurt you. Well, the hurt is in your own mind. So I have a feeling that that might be a mistranslation of some some of the original text. And I'm not sure. I'd be interested to find out about that particular line. And then I think the faster, you subdue your enemies, but subduing the enemies through harming them is only going to increase them more and more. So that's the only way I can understand that. If you think about, I can look at the harm of what's being done today. I can look at Iran, and I can see that the harm that we have created there has created so much hatred, and the harm will be then perpetrated right back on those who created it. So I think this is the meaning that I take from it. Yeah.
I guess I was looking at subduing your enemy in a positive light.
Oh, okay.
And that's
Well,
why,
all right. Yes.
but
Okay.
that's why I didn't think they would increase more and more. But
Yes, I hear you.
what
Yes.
you said makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Good. Good. Well, thank you all for coming. Yes. Delightful. Delightful. Please feel free to reach out if you need. Venerable has my contact information, and I hope you're well. We'll continue with Buddhist mind science tomorrow, and then next weekend, let's see, tomorrow is uh, yeah, and then there's one more, yes? And then there's a weekend of a teaching on dependent origination, really, on the wheel of life, how we create our world. It's an interesting topic. Okay?
Elaine, can we clarify the weekend that is? I thought it was the last weekend in March.
It is. It's
But I
the last
received,
weekend in March. So
okay.
this tomorrow is the 3rd module of Buddhist mind science, and the following weekend is module, and then the next weekend. So I'm actually teaching for 5 weekends.
I received an email today and I think the dates of that were perhaps incorrect.
Oh,
So I just wanting to clarify that it is let me look at my calendar here.
where did you receive? Who
I
sent the email?
TNL did.
Hmm.
And I understood the email that I received to say it was on the 21st and 22nd.
That's the last of the.
But on the calendar, it's the 28th and 29th. So I'm just trying to clarify.
Follow the calendar,
Okay, okay, good.
because I
Thank you.
think that's what I'm following. Yeah. Okay, very good. Very good. Thank you. Appreciate you all. And oh, please tell me.
Well, no, it was kind of a longer question, so I don't know that, I don't really have time, I don't think.
Please.
I was just gonna ask if you had any advice. You talked in the morning about turning Lamrim material into Lamrim meditations. I was wondering if you had any advice for that process.
For the process. Yes, yes, because we have that sandwich meditation where we start with stabilizing and then we analyze and then we stabilize. So when we start, we're going to use a Lamrim topic. First, we stabilize our mind and we analyze this topic and try to bring to some conclusion how that fits into our life. How do I realize that? And when we have what I call a Dharma aha about that, we stabilize there, stop right there, and stay there, saying, got it. Okay, yes, that's true for me. Yeah? Good. Okay. Thank you. All right. Until tomorrow.
Thank you, Elaine.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Goodbye now.